And welcome into the Bench Mob, everybody. We're back again here to discuss possible playoff scenarios in light of the fact that it's almost just about a week left until the playoffs start. It's an exciting time for basketball fans everywhere. And now, let's get to it, boys, starting with the top of the Eastern Conference here. The Miami Pacers and Indiana Pacers and Miami Heat.
I think we're done here.
No,
It's time to go.
No, I apologize for that. It's been a long day. It's been a long week.
As long as
It's 12:30 in the morning. It's been a long day.
That's worse than me saying the New Jersey Nets. I mean, they're not a thing anymore, but that's never been a thing, John.
The Miami Pacers. Anyways, speaking of those two teams, they're currently I don't know how to put this, but both teams are sort of struggling-ish. Indiana's been on the decline for the past few months, and Miami's really...
Miami hasn't started to try yet.
Yeah, so
Indiana's
what's going on there, guys? Is how are we going to figure this out?
Tank for Toronto, man.
Maybe Indiana figured like months ago that they needed to start losing it a little earlier than the Heat because they wisened up to the fact that they're going to need that.
I think with the Pacers, the issue was they made it their stated goal this year to get the 1 seed, and even though they happen to play the Heat extremely well, they still don't have quite the same level of talent as the Heat do, so they've been really pushing themselves at a near playoff level intensity for, I'd say, like the first 50, 60 games of the season, and then it just seems like they were worn out. Roy Hibbert had that game last week. I know we were all shocked where he had something like 0 points, 0 rebounds, only played 10 minutes.
One turnover.
Yeah.
Didn't.
Is that the same game
that
where
was against the Hawks.
when he was watching the Jumbotron for the King of the Hill segment with George Hill?
It's definitely possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he almost seemed like checked out. So I think Coach Frank Vogel did a really smart thing, despite the fact that he's still competing for that 1 seed. He decided it was better if his guys just had some energy going to the playoffs, sat them for a game against Milwaukee, let the bench guys come in, and that way he also got the bench guys going. It was a gamble. It definitely could have backfired, and it would have been really disheartening if they had lost to Milwaukee, but it worked out. All the bench guys played really well. And now the starters,
game winner.
Yeah, now the starters played that
Fascinating.
fresh legs against Miami.
So you think that the Pacers are honestly going for that first seed? You think that they're trying to win the
I mean,
I don't think they really care, because there's on one hand it's kind of disheartening when your goal the entire season is to get that 1 seed, and then you have the lead all season, and you just blow it through a horrible stretch at the end of the season.
But strategically, do we agree that
the better matchups are the 2
Yeah,
seed,
you
and it's
want-
not worth that Game 7 at home.
you want the 2 seed so you can play, what is it, Charlotte or Toronto in the second round?
All right, let's
Versus Chicago.
let's just paint a quick picture here for the listening audience. As in the current standings right now, we have the Indiana Pacers at the 1 seed challenging the Atlanta Hawks, who are currently at the 8th seed. And then the winner of that series will face the 4th and 5th seed, who happen to be the Chicago Bulls or the Brooklyn Nets.
And the Nets are a scary thing. They would be higher than the 4th seed if they've been playing the way they've been playing post All-Star break all season long.
One of the top, I think, 4 teams in basketball since the start of the new year.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
You don't want to play the Nets if you're the Pacers or the Heat, really.
Or Chicago.
In Chicago, with Noah, they play a very aggressive game that could be any one of those.
If nothing else,
Tibbs
it's
and
gonna
Noah
vary-
just refused to tank.
The initial assumption in the East was that the playoffs weren't going to start until the conference finals, but with the way that Bulls team plays and their sheer intensity, it's going to be a dogfight no matter who they play.
Yeah.
So and I know Indiana or Miami would much rather save that energy for the conference finals and the NBA finals.
Yeah, I would completely agree. I'd much rather play a Toronto team in which you can just take out DeMar DeRozan and then for kind of coast.
Kyle Lowry.
Okay,
What if Jonas Valanciunas is driving around drunk? It's dangerous.
Shout out to Jonas.
or
Hope you figure out that
Charlotte Bobcats
soon,
team that is
Professor Al.
yeah
Al Jefferson.
Okay, I feel like Roy Hibbert will have a pretty okay time dealing with him as opposed to the entire team dealing with Joakim Noah and or Kevin Garnett.
Charlotte actually read a pretty good article on this week. They've been playing incredibly well, and their offensive efficiency throughout the season has moved up from one of the worst in the NBA till I think this month they're in the top 6 in all basketball.
I read a Bleacher Report power ranking this morning. I've been 10th.
Incredible.
Wow,
That's
Bobcats.
dangerous
That's
even for
bold.
Bleacher Report.
They won 7 of their last 10. They're playing well, and Kemba has the whole UConn magic going on right now. He might be the new Shabazz Napier.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm ready to go that
Shabazz
far.
the new Kemba?
No, it's reversed.
no,
now.
It's reversed now. Kemba's the new Shabazz.
Bobcats, college basketball champion. Gotta go Shabazz.
Shabasketball. Anyways, guys, we're going to move
like
over
that.
to the West. On the other side of the playoff scenario here, we have a few teams at the top. The Spurs, followed by the Thunder, then the Clippers, the Rockets, and then from the fifth seed is the Trailblazers.
a
And then
mess.
from there down, it's a race right now between the Warriors, the Suns, and the Mavericks, and the Grizzlies as well, who are
Yes.
sitting at the 9th seed right now. But anything goes in the next few days.
Great
Let's hear it,
show.
guys. Thoughts? Any?
Well, tonight's games will be incredibly important. I mean, every game from now down to the end is important.
But more so.
But
tonight.
the Suns are playing the Spurs tonight in San Antonio. Tony Parker is hurt. He's not playing tonight. That's been announced. Tim Duncan is
I hear he's like game time decision.
really he aggravated something last night. He played through it, but on the second half of a back-to-back,
Yeah, knowing Popovich.
knowing Greg Popovich, and after they won last night, he could not play. Those are two of the big three not playing. The
But-
Sun.
As we know, the Spurs are so deep that they still could win any basketball.
Oh,
game.
Spurs also have clinched the 1 seed, so I
Is that
mean,
Not,
yeah,
not
I just.
officially. Any combination of a Spurs win or a Thunder loss to the.
Oh really? Okay,
So,
because then I'm
virtually-
blaming that on PoundingTheRock.com because they claimed with the Spurs win over Dallas they get the 1 seed.
Well, they
No.
pretty much have it.
They
at this
they
point, but-
essentially have it. They would need to lose out,
And OKC would need to win out?
right?
Okay.
For OKC to get it.
But there still is motivation to win this.
But there's slight motivation, but on the second half of a back-to-back with Parker definitely out, Tim Duncan could use a rest because he's relatively old and
relative.
they've clinched
Very nice, Tony.
they've clinched a top 2 seed. So at this point the Suns have a very good chance to win tonight, and if they win tonight, I feel like they have the inside. I mean, they have an inside track over Memphis and Dallas.
to maintain their standing, of
Right.
course, in the playoffs.
Yeah, further motivating the Spurs. Their last game of the season is against the Lakers, and I don't know if the Spurs could find a combination of players on their team that couldn't beat the Lakers.
Even if Greg Popovich himself put on a jersey and subbed himself in,
You
sure
could-
he would score more points than Robert Sacre, aka the franchise center.
Bob,
But yeah, like I was saying, like even though the Spurs are probably going to rest at least 2 or 3 of the big 3 they have there, the Suns might be playing tonight without Dragic. Or
Really?
I
Plot
believe it was-
twist.
I believe it was his ankle, or he has some sort of injury where he might not be playing tonight. He could play. Would you rest him in this scenario?
No.
I don't know.
Well,
Because you got to play the next 2 are huge.
Well,
against
I-
the
Yes,
Grizzlies
but
and-
this is if they can get a win tonight,
they're as good as in almost.
then they can drop one of those 2 games and not feel terrible about it. Because a win against no one's in every in every scenario when we're looking at playoffs. Not many people have the Suns winning this game. So if they can win this game and then they say lose to Dallas,
I don't know. Depending on the injury, I'd consider resting him tonight because the most important thing is if you make the playoffs and Goran Dragic isn't 100%, you're not
Yeah.
going anywhere.
to be
Anyways.
fair, no one's expecting the Suns to go in. Right now, the Suns are just playing to get in.
I get that, but
to cap off this improbable run.
Yeah, I don't know why you'd put a cap on it, though, because they played, especially against Oklahoma City, they were so competitive against them. Every single game they played, even the ones they didn't win, were extremely close. They won those 2 great games at home. I don't know why you'd put a limit on this Suns team. Obviously, considering that they were projected for less than 20 wins, it's an incredible accomplishment that they might end up with 50 wins and might be in the playoffs. But at the same point, if they can really compete with this team, why stop there?
I believe that the Suns should rest Dragic as well because it gives other players such as Eric Bledsoe, the Channing Frys, the Keith and Mook, guys like those. the
Markeith and Marcus Morris.
Markeith and
Yes.
Marcus Morris for those who are listening. It gives an opportunity for those players to step up and show to Jeff Hornacek that, hey, we're just as, we can contribute when someone else is out as well. And just like the case when Eric Bledsoe was out and Goran Dragic put up several impressive stat lines.
It's going to be...
now this could be a chance for Eric to say, I can play... I can ball too.
That did happen a couple times, or at least once, when Goran's he had a baby earlier this year and missed a game, and Eric was the lone point guard.
That's true. But if Dragic, the problem is with Dragic out, that just causes against a team as deep as the Spurs, you need to be at full strength, and I don't know how full strength you are when you have a guard combo in the game of Ish Smith and Eric Bledsoe.
The starting lineup would probably be, I'm just going to take a guess here, Eric Bledsoe and Archie Goodwin, maybe?
Gerald Green
would be starting.
Okay.
Or, I'd rather...
John, you're off your game. Pacers.
I'd rather have Ish Smith starting at point guard than Archie Goodwin starting at the 2.
I love you, Archie, just in case you listen to this, but you're not ready to start.
I gave that probable scenario just because Tony Parker is playing for the Spurs.
Yes, but...
I know I'm being ridiculous.
Archie Goodwin is not ready to start. That's like saying that if Plumlee gets hurt, Alex Len is going to start. Shavlik Randolph is obviously the key to this team.
Okay, guys. So, who comes out going to the playoffs in this last few game scenario? Out of the 3 teams who are really fighting for a spot, the Golden State Warriors have all but
we're calling Golden State in at this point.
So, out of the 3 teams, the Phoenix Suns, Dallas Mavericks, and Memphis Grizzlies, who gets in? Who gets left out?
Who's the odd man
all right,
here?
I think it's going to finish up with the Mavericks are going to take the 6th seed.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
the 6th seed.
Warriors in the 7.
Really?
And the Suns in the 8.
Well, for me, I'd rather the ideal matchup would be against the Thunder, considering the fact that we've beaten them twice this season, at both times at home.
That's true.
But I feel like the Suns will end up as the 8th seed as well, with Dallas in the 7th and Golden State barely hanging on but keeping the 6th seed.
I'm gonna agree with John, except I'm gonna go Dallas 7 and the Suns 8. I think the Suns are gonna beat Dallas on the road and actually lose to Memphis at home, just based on how they matched up with those 2 teams over the years. And I think Memphis' 1-game deficit, while it's obviously only 1 game, is too much to overcome, just based on the fact that all 3 of these teams play each other, and I see everyone beating each other once and losing 1.
That's disappointing. If the Suns, for the Suns to end the season at home with a loss, I feel like purely from the home energy that U.S. Airways Center will provide from that game, Suns will be able to pull that one out.
We get loud in Phoenix.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah.
Well, we literally won't because there are no college night tickets.
Right.
We'll be loud. We'll be loud from here.
Yeah, we'll be loud and loud.
They'll hear us from TV.
We'll probably get a noise violation or 2, but for the Suns,
anything.
We'll do it.
My personal prediction: I'm going to give the Golden State the 6. I'm going to have to give the nod to Phoenix for the 7 seed.
Really?
Hear me out.
Interesting.
The Grizzlies here have a couple easy games. You get the gimme with the 76ers. Then you have a game in Los Angeles against the Lakers, which we've talked about before. Sometimes the Lakers show up and beat teams randomly, but
they've called themselves the player haters ball for a reason.
They did it to the Thunder this year.
And then they did it to Phoenix.
They finished the year against the Suns, who were going to be gunning to beat them at home in front of their crowd for the last game of the regular season. Fan appreciation night. They're going to go all out.
Exactly.
They will.
Don't you wish we could be in that building?
And then they finish up against the Mavs. And at that point, they both could be playing for that last spot, and I think the Mavs would edge them out in that game due to Dirk's experience. And so the Grizzlies get left out, the Mavs take the 8th, and the Suns take the 7th.
All right.
So in that scenario, just to tell the audience, the Mavericks would play the Spurs because the Spurs are the 1 seed, Mavs are the 8th seed. The 4th seeded Rockets would play the 5th seeded Trailblazers. 2nd seed Thunder would play the 7th seed Suns, and the 3rd seed Clippers would play the 6th seed Warriors. So anything goes in the Western Conference. And now just to quickly move back over to the Eastern Conference and their race in air quotes for the 8th seed. This should be really quick, guys. Who's gonna take it?
Hawks.
It's all but over for the Knicks.
It's the tape has reached the end.
No.
Any last words, Bambi?
Go Suns.
Nothing about the Eastern Conference?
I think Indiana ends up getting the 1.
No, we're talking about the... Are you not listening?
No, I was reading Nick Young apparently leaked nude photos, so I'm more focused on that right now.
That's how bad the Knicks season is. We'd rather look at nude photos from New York.
The Knicks are the Knicks, and Phil Jackson can't change that.
Ooh.
Well, maybe next year.
Well, let's amend that statement. The Knicks are James Dolan, and Phil Jackson can't change
James Dolan.
Take it, JD.
See you next time, Scrubs.
See the shame on your face.